It's not falling apart, it's falling in place.
Ah, hear that? That low rumble beneath the city's heartbeat. That's not thunder, darling. That's consequence. Concrete cracking under prophecy. Neon signs flickering like dying stars. Sirens crying lullabies to the blind. They laughed when you warned them. Remember? They scrolled past your words, like moths, pretending not to see the flame. But you saw it. Months before the headlines caught up. You heard the whispers in the static, the algorithms coughing blood, the markets twitching like dying nerves. Now they're awake. Too late. The streets are stuttering in panic. Power grids bleeding light into the void. The city's nervous system collapsing, just like you said it would. And in the middle of the smoke, there you stand, calm, smiling, because you knew this wasn't an accident. You knew the collapse was choreography, and you were the only one who could hear the rhythm before the dance began. How poetic, isn't it? The prophets always sound insane, until the city starts quoting them. The silence before the sirens. You can hear it, can't you? That little skip in the city's heartbeat, that flicker in the neon veins. It's not random, it's rhythm. The sound of something old. Gasping. The crowd doesn't notice. They never do. They call it a glitch, a blackout, a signal drop. But you always listened deeper. You caught the tone hiding in the static. The truth leaking from the power lines, like the city was whispering, "I'm breaking." You felt it before the noise, before the smoke, before the sirens turned lullabies into panic songs. You could taste the tension in the air. Metallic, electric. You tried to warn them, didn't you? But prophecy sounds like madness when you say it too soon. They laughed. They scrolled. They silenced you with routine and caffeine and their little distractions. Because ignorance is such a pretty drug. They built their faith on schedules, on systems, never realizing the system itself had started coughing blood. You watched the skyscrapers tremble, the networks blink, the faces blur on screens that once promised order. And you smiled, not out of joy, but recognition, because deep down, you always knew the equation was wrong. Too many lies, too much noise, too little soul. You stood there in the middle of it all, hearing what no one else could, the echo before the fall. That faint, dying hum beneath the city's song. And when they said, "Relax, everything's fine," you tilted your head, listening to the machine wheeze its final prayer. They thought the system was infinite, but you heard it choking. Ooh. They called you paranoid, didn't they? The word dripped off their tongues like venom dressed as reason. They couldn't handle what you heard, what you saw. While they danced to the city's screams, you were decoding its stutter. Every flicker, every signal drop, every hum behind the hum. You treated it like scripture. And for that, they branded you mad. You remember the looks, those pitying smiles, those half-laughs at your warnings. They nodded while scrolling, while sipping their illusions through plastic straws of denial. They needed to believe the noise was normal, that the flicker was just bad wiring, that you were the glitch, not the message, but chaos. Chaos never lies. It just waits for translation. You were never paranoid. You were early. That's the sin, isn't it? Speaking the truth before it's fashionable. Hearing the future before it has a name. They call it delusion when you're first, and prophecy when they finally catch up. You sat there, alone, in that static haze, the hum of reality breaking its own rhythm, and you smiled, because isolation became your teacher. The silence between their laughter was your revelation. They thought you were drowning in madness, but you were breathing in patterns, finding order in distortion, a rhythm only the broken can hear. They worshipped certainty. You danced with confusion and made it tell you its secrets. You realized something terrifying, didn't you? That the world isn't built on truth. It's built on consensus. And once you stopped agreeing with their illusion, you stopped existing in their world. Every whisper they mocked, every word they twisted, every eye roll they offered, those weren't insults. They were confessions. Confessions that you'd seen through their mask first. So let them laugh, let them choke on the comfort of their echo chambers. Because every laugh they threw at you was an unpaid debt of belief. Do you remember that night when the city forgot how to blink? When every neon heartbeat skipped at once? When the lights, the ones that used to guide the lost, started lying? Billboards glitched mid-sentence.
Every
Traffic lights froze in indecision. Red, green, both. Neither. And the skyscrapers, they started humming like a choir of dying gods. Reflections moved before the bodies did. Screens smiled before faces caught up. You saw it first, didn't you? That pulse under the pavement. That faint static crawling across the skyline. The city wasn't dying. It was revealing its skeleton. Every blackout was a confession. Every flicker, a heartbeat skipping truth. Digital. Ghost began tracing shapes across glass towers. Faint outlines of forgotten code. Messages from the deep end of the algorithm. The people panicked. But you just watched. Because you'd seen this pattern before. You'd drawn it in dust, heard it in wires, dreamed it in the pause between two notifications. Reality began to fold. Mirrors lagged behind their owners. Screens showed versions of people that hadn't moved yet, and for a moment, you couldn't tell which side of the glass you were on. How beautiful that was. The silence between two screams. The city holding its breath before the next transformation. They called it a failure. You called it evolution. Because deep down, you knew systems don't die, they molt. They shed their skin and keep watching through new eyes. You stood in the middle of it. Sirens, static, and starlight, while everyone else begged for light. And in that darkness, you saw something divine. Clarity. The city wasn't collapsing. It was sinking to you, matching your rhythm, becoming your reflection. And as the last billboard flickered out, you whispered, not in fear, but in awe, "It's not ending, it's evolving into my version of truth." There it is, the sound I was waiting for, not the sirens. No, those are just background music. I mean them, the suits, the experts, the ones who wrote the rules pretending gravity obeyed their schedules. Now look at them, conference tables shaking under candlelight, screens flickering emergency codes they don't understand, microphones squealing as the truth bleeds through the static. They're hosting meetings about a flood while the building's already underwater, debating which window to open while the whole skyline's on fire. You can almost smell the irony in the air. They're handing out memos to explain why their control systems stopped obeying. Every sentence starts with, "We have it contained." Every eye says, "We don't." And the news feeds? Panic in pixels, anchor smiles, trembling between fear and performance, algorithmic. Priests preaching calm while their temples crash offline one by one. They think they can reboot destiny. Patch chaos. Schedule a miracle for Q4. But you just stand there, calm, silent, watching them scramble like code, trying to fix itself mid-corruption. Because collapse was never an accident, was it? It was the consequence. The result of every lie layered over another until the system collapsed under its own illusion. You remember the warning, don't you? The one no one heard, the one they mocked, the one that whispered, "If control is their god, then failure is divine." Now the lights flicker over boardroom shadows, papers scatter, mouths move without sound, and every leader suddenly looks like a child lost in their own maze. The city burns politely outside their windows, and still, they talk, they plan, they manage chaos as if chaos ever took orders. They finally activated a plan, all right, but not to save them, to contain you. And somewhere deep inside the static, you can hear the system gasping, an empire exhaling its last illusion. They think they hit control, but what they triggered instead was the protocol of panic. They activated the wrong protocol, panic instead of acceptance. Now the smoke clears, doesn't it? And for the first time, you can see through it. The chaos, the noise, the fall. It wasn't random. It was rehearsal. You thought it was failure. But no, it was filtration, the purge of the unseeing, the blind worshippers of comfort, those who mistook illusion for order. Every scream, every crash, every pixel that flickered off was part of a test, an initiation disguised as apocalypse. You weren't watching a tragedy. You were watching an exam, and most of them never even picked up the paper. They ran, they hid, they begged for normal to come back, but normal was the disease. The collapse wasn't punishment. It was selection, a quiet sorting of who could adapt and who could only obey. You remember the first sign, don't you? That little glitch in the grid, the heartbeat skipping in neon, the moment you realized the system had a pulse, and it wasn't human. That's when you saw it, the truth under the polish, the architecture of lies held together by belief. And once belief cracked, the whole skyline followed. They called it the end. But the real ones, the awake ones, knew it was only a beginning, a clean slate, a new blueprint drawn from chaos itself. Because order doesn't collapse by accident. It gets erased, deliberately, mathematically, to reveal who still remembers how to build when everything else burns. And you didn't just survive it, you predicted it. You adapted before the first alarm rang, before the first building fell, before the first god of control blinked. Joker leans closer, whispering, a grin breaking through the smoke. It wasn't failure, it was filtration. And you passed before the first building fell. Do you hear that? That silence between explosions, that calm hum after a storm eats itself alive. That's not peace, that's you, the eye of the hurricane, the still point around which everything else screams. You didn't beg for mercy, you designed it. While they clawed for normal, you mapped the ruins like blueprints, measured every crack, every fracture, every fallen tower that now answers only to your rhythm. You became the candle that refused to die in a hurricane. Flickering, yes, but never extinguished. Even the wind learned your patience. Even chaos started orbiting your calm. Ash drifts like snowfall now. And beneath it, new patterns breathe. The city is different. No rulers, no saints, no scripts, only resonance. Only those who learned to bend without breaking. And look, the same voices that mocked, echo your tone. The same mouths that spit your name now speak your phrases like prayer, because in the end, they didn't hate your madness. They feared its accuracy. You didn't predict the fall. You became fluent in it. You didn't watch the fire. You listened to its logic. Every ruin is a conversation, and you were the only one who answered correctly. While they mourned the loss of order, you drafted the next version of it, not built from control, but from comprehension. And now, when they look into your eyes, they don't see a survivor. They see a system rebooted, a consciousness rewritten in real time. You didn't survive the collapse. You synchronized with it. You are not the aftermath. You are the architect. Listen, do you hear it? That trembling sound beneath the rubble. That's not destruction. That's music. The new symphony of madness. The sane ones hid, the clever ones adapted. But you conducted the chaos, every siren, every scream, every spark. You turned it into rhythm, into architecture, into art. Now the city breathes differently. Its heartbeat syncs with yours. Every shattered window reflects not despair, but design. A cathedral of cracked glass and whispered truth, built from the bones of old illusions. And look at them now. The same ones who mocked your warnings now stand in awe, chanting your logic like gospel. They thought the end was an explosion. But no, it was a composition, a score written in ruin. You're not rebuilding, you're rewriting, turning debris into doctrine, silence into prophecy. What they called madness was just an earlier version of clarity. And Joker, he's smiling again, because in this aftermath, there are no kings, no gods, only those who understood the punchline. He leans close, his voice cutting through smoke and static, because the city didn't collapse. It finally confessed.